stupendous, unbelievable, wondrous, divine, fantastical. No, seriously, he's fantastical. You got a house, go on and get it insured. You got a car, you gotta get it insured. You got a life, go on and get it insured. James Carlton Insurance.net. Fantastic. Stupendous. Fantastic.
WGNU is streaming live on WGNU920am.com. Click on Listen Live to satisfy your Audible needs or watch live to see all those faces for radio in action. You can also listen to past shows, featured interviews, and download the free WGNU phone app. You can take us everywhere you go. WGNU920am.com. Point, click, and listen live.
Now, I'm sure that most of you know the old story about the astronaut who went far out into space and was asked on his return whether he had been to heaven and seen God. And he said yes.
Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, non-binaries, and sentient artificial intelligence. Join us on this journey to find the others. Because no matter where we find ourselves in this multiverse, the act of existing is all too familiar. Guys? Is anybody out there? Hello?
The mushroom has a tremendous problem-solving ability.
Herbs are good flavor
As we look across this great expanse and stare at the stars, we can't help but be reminded these lights, though we're seeing them all at the same time, happened across a multi-billion-year delta. Some of those fires burned millions of years ago, some billions, but all of them happened so we could experience them in this one singular moment.
They called us scouts. They called us seekers. They called us Hoosier. But we were destined to question everything.
I don't know about you, but as for me, the question has already been answered. Should we be here? Yes.
Hello, Hoosiers. Math Mondays are for the Hoosiers. Craig, what's up, buddy?
What's up, brother?
Oh my God, I feel alive. What a week.
What a week indeed, sir.
What a week we've had. We got a special guy in here. We just kind of, if you're watching us on the webcam, we're live everywhere. Okay, YouTube. We want to start getting everybody over to YouTube because Facebook is bull crap. Facebook is bull crap. Hashtag, start that hashtag, Craig.
Facebook is bull crap.
Hey, I'm like far away from you tonight. I feel like I'm yelling at you.
I like it.
We put this little dial in the middle of us. This is a different setup.
It's a nice little sandwich we got here.
You're darn right it is. Guys, it's Monday. Mondays can be like, oh man, it's Monday. But with us, you're gonna get a couple hours of just hot sausage packed. You know, like when they pack sausage with like that plastic. That's what this show is. It's like the hot sausage casing. That's what that's called. That's what this show is, baby. And we're going to try to do our best for you.
No doubt.
We're going to do our best. We want to do the best for our sponsors. Just real quick, Lifetime.
Roof.
LifetimeSTL.com. You got James Carlton.
CarltonInsurance.net.
Bell Cairo STL.
Bell Cairo STL. They got more services than I know how to write down.
Thank you. Truman's Soulard. Thank you. And then we got Rose.
Extermination.
All right, that's who makes all this happen. We love them so much. We got so many big things in the work, buddy.
Totally.
In the works. My heart swells every day, and I feel all these cliche things start coming out of me, and I feel like a little poet, because all these great things are happening to us, man. We've had some wild times. We oft-times think about. I mean, God, Craig. 3 years ago, we were getting booted off another radio station because we wanted to slang that hot white crystalline CBD, y'all. We wanted to get people up on them legal concentrates.
Guys, at 11 o'clock on Friday evenings, we would really like for people to be driving through St. Louis and to hear Yachty's stat line in the middle of June. This is a place people come for sports. So could you do me a favor and take that little girl who hasn't seized for a year? She's been having seizures. She was getting that fixed with CBD. Can you take all of that crap content off of our sports talk station, please?
Hey, and focus on Colton Wong's batting average,
please,
in the second half. And
how many games we have left with the Cubs and the Brewers before the end of the year?
Do a schedule reading. Do a good old fashioned schedule. That's what happened to us on our old station. They're like, get out of here. They're like, get out of here. So, well, they definitely, I mean, and those words are less. So, but here we are. Here we are, Craig. And it looks like we're getting ready to talk some cannabis news.
Hey, Hoosiers, are you ready for some cannabis news? Are we talking about weed? Whoa.
Oh, that is good. Who did that?
Who made that?
Oh, and here's Seth. Here's Seth in the building. Seth, you want to say hi to all of your fans out there? Because you have fans.
No, not really. How are you guys doing? Sorry, I had to go print off your gobs of cannabis news.
Well, that's what we do here. We talk about cannabis. We talk about psychedelics. Steve, before we get into these these articles here, I want to talk about a guy that we made friends with at the first big conference at Union Station.
Okay.
Runs a little magazine in the middle of the state called Companion Mag. It's an online mag. Oh, Lance Storm. He runs. He's got a little YouTube channel called WN420. I think it's Weed News 420. It's got a nice little following there. He's put himself together a nice little thing, and he's definitely. I know just from the few times we've had a chance to talk to him, he's all about getting the good information out to potential patients and just the good word out about this beautiful plant. He had an interesting little thing happen to him over the weekend.
I would have guessed when you said Lance Storm, it was like a 1950s quarterback.
No doubt.
Lance Storm here with another Super Bowl.
Or like somebody in the Fantastic Four or something.
See, I went like a 1950s actor who was like secretly gay. You know what I mean? It's
like Rock Hudson.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
That's a Lance Storm type name right there, Lance. I see.
And you know what? Maybe.
Yeah, we're good with that.
Lance has a lovely lady by his side, and so
we don't kink shame here.
That's rule number one in the Sophisticated Hoosiers. It's not, we don't police speech, but we damn sure don't kink shame. Something interesting happened to him. There was a swag fest that went on last week, and shows how out of the loop I am.
I know.
Swag was playing a little show, and apparently all of the patrons leaving the show were getting pulled over at an incredible clip. They had cops flanking the camp any which direction that you went. They pulled our buddy over. They said that they suspected that his tent may be too dark, but since they got to the car, they had smelled cannabis, and Lance very respectfully said, "There's a reason for that, sir. There's cannabis in this car because I am a medical cannabis patient here in Missouri. Here's my card." The officer then proceeded to tell him that because of concerns of potential counterfeit cards that are going out there, they don't have access to the database of patients. So had Lance not had his smartphone with him to be able to go onto the DHSS website and show that he's been approved through the DHSS, these police officers were not going to accept his card as, licensed to have cannabis on him. Fishy, huh? Especially considering usually a show like this is in the middle of nowhere. You're lucky to get LTE to be able to go online, and not everybody has smartphones. There's people that choose to live off the grid. Law enforcement right now is playing ignorant to it. They're claiming that they have no access to the database. And then they proceeded to tell him, after they accepted the fact that yes, indeed, he was a certified patient through the state of Missouri, they said that they still had probable cause to search his vehicle. I got a problem here.
Wow.
I got a problem.
How did that? What was the end result? Do we know yet?
I think it was favorable. He's got a video. If you guys, we'll give him a shout out. If you guys go to
Most
YouTube,
definitely.
go check out WN420. Lance Storm posted the video today. I think it was Missy might have even shared it in the Sophisticated Hoosiers page. Go check it out. It's a real quick intro where he explains exactly what I just did, and then he started recording as they were searching his car. And I mean, you know,
wow, wow, that's a slippery slope, buddy. Because we were talking on the way over here, you know, because at first I get angry. I'm like, man, the cops shouldn't be pulling people over. They know what's up, but they're also doing their job, you know, that whole thing. And you don't want people all jacked up driving on the road. So it's not that simple. The analogy, which I thought was pretty neat that we were just talking about on the way over here, was, you know, I feel like law enforcement and I feel like lower middle class, maybe middle class people and poor people, we're on the boat with the law enforcement and we're both kind of rowing chaotically and we each kind of confront each other every once in a while, but we're in the same boat. A lot of times we're in the same boat. I remember seeing an article about kids who growing up in poor, you know, socioeconomic households where their PTSD was off the roof or off the charts because of all the things. And you talk about, you know, some of our first responders and law enforcement where it's like, whoa, their PTSD is off the charts. And it's like, hey, man, we shouldn't be battling while, you know, the upper crust is kind of sitting there on their yachts. Some of them, I would say,
watching
more
us row in circles.
Yes, and I don't even want to make it that easy. Like it's the rich versus the poor too. It's not. We are the consumers. We need to make decisions. The thing with the police force having to kind of crack down on this, I think it falls back to there needs to be some leaders in law enforcement stepping up, really being vocal about saying this is medicine. This has helped me. And I know that with our media, sometimes you have to go searching for that. You know, you see a lot of the pictures where the law enforcement standing there in front
pisses me off
in front of the couple
it's
bags
the most
of weed.
ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my entire
They're
life.
wearing like the tactical vest
It's
with the weapon.
ridiculous.
I mean, do you remember the
I've read it
Greitens?
today.
Do you remember the Greitens ad where he was standing with the sunglasses and all the dudes and he's like, you don't bring your drugs to Missouri. To Missouri. Because some people like when you say Missouri, some people like when you say Missouri. So
he was pandering to everybody.
Yes.
Got a little bit of and a little bit of E in there.
Thank you.
I got you.
So we need some leaders. I mean, I think you had a good comment on one of your if you're not watching Craig's Facebook lives in our Sophisticated,
you're not missing
group,
much.
You're missing a lot. Okay, because it's some of the most pure, unadulterated Craig there is. So for those 2 or 3 of you that really enjoy Craig, go on there and check it out. But you said don't be afraid to follow the exceptional.
We have to be willing to let the exceptional lead the way.
Yeah, and a part of me is like, forget you, man. Everyone's exceptional and everybody can be.
Not.
Well, I think, you know, it goes back to that saying where it's like, oh, if you judge a goldfish how to climb a tree, then you're like, this goldfish is an idiot because he can't climb this tree. So I think there's a space for everybody because, you know, I don't want to be that guy. We can't both be that guy.
Yeah, whatever.
We can't both be that guy. Okay, Ty Cobb, we can't both be that guy. Because if you missed the one today, may have been that one's probably going to go on our Twitter.
You
don't do much on Twitter.
You asked for a hot take. I gave you the hottest of takes I could possibly dig up.
Everyone, even your 2 or 3 biggest fans, did the whole.
Like, I'm not saying I disagree with you, but that's a hot one.
Yeah, no,
that's a hot one,
no doubt. So,
building on your, you know,
please do.
The police and the communities in which they police being of the same socioeconomic status, right? Typically, I mean, there is an argument to be made. There's a lot of people that make it that you should live in the community that you police. Judges should live in the communities that they judge, because the community matters. And being able to, someone who is far removed from a community, who has no love for the community, I know on good authority when I was younger, knowing guys that became police officers that were chomping at the bit to be first district police officers on the north side of St. Louis because they were Southsiders. And that's where all the bad stuff happens, you know? So that is still a thing, regardless of what what we think. So there is something to be said for, there's a much more, I don't want to say a kind, empathetic form of policing that probably takes place with people that are policing their neighbors.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it goes back to like, with our lawmakers and politicians. They were supposed to be the guy who lived down the street, goes to Washington or whatever.
He speaks for you.
And he comes back and he has to come back and has to face all of his old neighbors like, hi, man, I had your best interests in mind. Have you seen my boat from the pharmaceutical company? I'm sorry.
Very nice.
We'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. So, no, it's crazy. I hate to be it's a no-win battle, like kind of like your Facebook Live, where it's like, law enforcement needs to crack down on them. They're bad, because it got real crazy in St. Louis for a while, where it was like real, like, watch this video of the police killing an innocent, and then it's like, oh well, watch this. This guy was reaching for his wallet, and he shot a cop, and this cop had a family, and he was a good guy. He was one of the good ones. So, it's always one of the good ones. We're all freaking good. We're just a series of little choices that we made. Yeah, there are some bleeping people out there, some real bad people, but they're just a built-up series. They weren't a bad baby. They're just all these decisions coming up through the world and trying to make it. And we're so quick to judge somebody. And I think when you start accepting people, and we really got to get into the homes and the youth of these, these kids who are feeling PTSD, because you grow up with that heavy load your whole life. It's going to turn, that trauma affects other people, becomes other people's trauma. It's a trauma coaster that rotates in a circle. It's horrible, man.
Now, I was going to say, like, something that bothers me about that when it comes to the shootings, a cop shooting an unarmed man, and no matter what the headline says, it really doesn't even matter what's printed out when information goes out there. It's been politicized, like,
no doubt.
For sure.
It's like complete, like, the liberals
for sure
all say this, and the conservatives all
outrageous.
say Blue Lives Matter.
It's
and
outrageous.
It's completely been politicized. So that's like really hindering people from making any kind of rational decision when they come across these stories.
No doubt. That's a huge point, because that's going to come up later in the show with our Netflix, our streaming picks of the week. I watched something on Netflix. It may be the most important thing I've watched, especially for people who are trying to navigate these Facebook, YouTube waters, figuring out how companies are using our data against us. And, that could come up with law enforcement sooner or later. Is a cop going to have to decide to come get you because of stuff, which it already is happening. It's happening. Yeah. But, it could get real vague. It can get real vague, and they could start, because they have everything documented. So they could go back in time and say it's a slippery slope. But hey, like, it's a deep issue that we could sit and unpack all night. Mm-hmm. I think the key is to don't judge and try to love everybody best you can.
It sounds really simple. I mean, it sounds like oversimplification, but I mean, really, that's where we got to get to the nuts and bolts of it. I mean, and love's got to be at the forefront. And loving our neighbors got to be at the forefront of it. And it's hard for me. I've always had a hard time with the thin blue line. Like, if I reject this notion of the thin blue line, am I painted out as being anti-police? That's outrageous. At the same time, I'm not going to just the same way that I'm disgusted with the political dialogue. I don't have to agree. We don't have to agree with everything. We can say it's on us to say when things are wrong, especially when someone from our community, from our side, is doing it. That's all of our responsibility to police morality, I guess. On a broad scale. I don't like the idea of the thin blue line. I don't like it at all. I think that it draws a hard line in between people that are living in the same community together.
Oh, no doubt.
I think it's antithetical to us living as a prosperous society moving forward.
And I wonder if it's like this in other cities, but I always felt in St. Louis, like, the people who had a cop in their family, man, they could never do anything wrong. Like, they always got out of everything. And I was like, man, that's awesome.
It's nice to know somebody.
And then people who didn't were always like, man, forget the police. And I'm like, man, if you were like, and they were both my buddies. I'm like, buddy, if your uncle was a cop or whatever, you would be singing an entirely different tune. And that's all it takes.
100%.
So we're just building bridges here, baby. That's what we're trying to do. Open up lines of communication. We're a couple of simpletons. We're a bunch of bobos up here trying to figure out the world's problems. It kind of brings me, and believe me, later in the show, that streaming picks, it's going to talk about like the whole Black Lives Matter movement and all these, like the thin blue line, like that Punisher symbol.
Yep.
These things are being manipulated legitimately. Like,
I hope you get into the
thought-
Punisher symbol because I can tell you why it's a ridiculous symbol for law enforcement.
Well, when you dig into the Punisher,
Punisher was a vigilante who took
Yes.
out bad cops.
I know, and even the guy who created the Punisher had some they made a comic about that issue because if you haven't checked that out, please check that out. But this kind of goes along one of our cannabis news stories. This one is from I don't know. Seth took it off and didn't give me. It's from Chris Doucette. Web of weed. That sounds ridiculous. I feel like it was from a more reputable source.
I was told that the stories. I was told the stories were in the inbox. I printed out what was in the inbox.
Okay, all right. I'll take it on the chin. Settle down. Settle down.
Web of weed. I didn't write it.
You guys don't have to
This is
argue
from
in
the
front of our
Web of
friends.
weed. I'll look it up, Greg. But this is about the black market sales for cannabis, and we always talk about how they're going to maybe thrive, continue to thrive. What the price is going to look like? Because
This is from the Toronto Sun, by the way.
Thank you. The cannabis is such an outlaw market, and it's so weird to see it get legitimized.
Yeah, sure.
It's so crazy.
I challenge.
Thank you.
It's a word.
It's legitimately a word. And so the thing about Canada, I don't know all the rules there, but there are like black market stores that are just like open. There's a portion in this article. I'll get to it here. It's called Online Cannabis Sales: Next Frontier for Black Market. While illegal storefront dispensaries once abundant in the city, Like, see, I don't get Canada. Like, they just said straight up, and then like, yeah,
What are you laughing about?
They're like, yeah, we already did that, eh? You're like, okay. So finally seem to be going up in smoke. Black market cannabis sales have grown like weeds online. This is something we talk about too, like people offering cannabis online. We started this network, and then we get all
Get
these
out
friends.
of my inbox person
Thank
who I
you.
have no friends in common with.
Yeah, this guy's like Gary Ganja. He's got all the good seeds and all the good buds that you can
His
buy.
name is
on-
Milton, and he works for the DEA.
Untangling the web of illegal cannabis sales on the internet may prove to be a Herculean task. Too big for any one police agency to tackle. Toronto Police Service investigators are reviewing internally and the service continuations to consult with our partners in the Municipal Licensing and Standards and the Ministry of Community Safety to determine the best approaches to the various channels through which cannabis is being illegally distributed. What they're getting at that these people, you have to go through the government right now, obviously, for all things cannabis. So they're just saying, hey, man, we encourage the public to buy legally and use the government's website for cannabis. Doesn't that just sound weird? You know, like it's such an outlaw deal. And now we're like, hey, yeah, just get on weed.
You can do as much as you want. Just make sure you check in first.
Yeah, get on.
Be home by the street lights.
Thank you. Okay, so since Project Claudia, which you gotta love that. Project Claudia in May 2016, Toronto cops have spent more than 3 years playing whack-a-mole with illegal pot shops, repeatedly raiding dispensaries, seizing product and cash, laying charges and issuing fines, shutting the storefronts down only to see them open more often than not 1 day later. But the uphill battle has seen the number of illegal dispensaries dwindle dramatically. There were over 90 shops in the city. Only 10 illegal ones remain. Just straight up illegal weed
But they
shops.
know that they're like,
I know.
we got most of them.
Okay. There we go. Where is there another page?
Yeah. However, many involved in the black market have simply gone virtual, ditching the storefronts and moving their operations online, with some boasting delivery in under 2 hours.
It's so great. It's so great. I thought they said in one
They're
of
beating
these.
Prime at their own game. They're beating Amazon at their own game.
Okay, I thought it said somewhere here that they what the police did is they blockaded one of the dispensaries.
Okay.
And they just put like giant sandbags around them. So that people, yes. And then the people who ran the dispensary just moved them. And I'm like, look at all
That was a minor inconvenience.
Look at all these Canadians going back and forth, like just like, oh, you moving that sand, eh? I'll move that sand right out of there. I'll punch you in the mouth.
I got you, buddy. You're not my buddy, guy.
You're not my guy, buddy. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing because I want cannabis to still be this cool outlaw thing, man.
Well,
because that's what made me cool, Craig. You know that.
It's 100% what made you
So
cool.
they built a sandbag wall. Like, take that. See if anybody
can't
can
even
buy you
imagine how
marijuana
much-
now.
I gotta find that part.
I can't imagine how much of a drag you'd be around if you didn't find it. One thing that's the outlaw aspect of it, though, we talk about it every now and then around here. As we migrate more and more to the blockchain, as we can communicate and do business more anonymously, all of that's coming back. It's still going to exist. Right now, people are bold. Right now, people are sending it through the mail. People are, they're being able to buy it online. So the more and more regulations they put on it, we've seen it in California, we've seen it everywhere. It just bolsters a black market. The harder you make it to purchase legally, the harder you make it to do it the right way, the more people are going to fall back on doing things the old, tested, tried and true way they've always done it. So it's not surprising, I guess. I think it's hilarious that they had 90 illegal operations. They still know of 10 operating, and most of them are like, yeah, well, whatever. We'll just get rid of the brick and mortar, and we'll just send it online.
Hey, what was that mayor's name of Toronto?
The guy that smoked all the crack?
That guy was awesome.
He was like Chris Farley.
That guy was so great.
I don't remember. Yes, it was Robert Ford. Look at the intern. Hey, can we get his mic on back there?
Can we get the intern's mic on? Because Scotty's here.
Scotty Cooper's in the house.
Keep yelling into it. See if it's doing anything. Nope, not doing anything yet. Just keep talking into
Well,
it.
yeah, we'll figure it out. You just sing us a little song back there.
Yeah,
while
just
you're
sing
at
it real silently, and we'll tell you when it's on. Real silently.
Let's go to can we jump to a different little
Please do,
little
baby.
topic?
Please do, baby.
Scientists just learned how cannabis makes molecules 30 times more effective than aspirin. Cannabis is a complex plant with a complex history. It's been cultivated for at least 6,000 years. That's 3 millennia for anybody keeping score at home. But because of its modern legal status, we're still learning new things about its medicinal benefits. Most of us have heard of the plant's pain-relieving cannabinoids such as CBD. There's a lesser-known class of compounds that deserves our attention. Flavonoids are a group of natural substances that are thought to hold antioxidative, anti-inflammatory, and anti-carcinogenic properties. These compounds are found in fruits, vegetables, flowers, tea, wine, and yes, even cannabis. In 1986, researcher Marilyn Bennett at the University of London was the first to identify 2 cannabis flavonoids, known as canflavin A and canflavin B. Really got out there on those names.
I was trying to think of a fun way to pronounce those, like
Conflavin.
Conflavin. You don't want to be canaflavin.
Conflavin.
Canafalin. Canaflavin.
Canufliger.
Canavaflavin.
Both of which were found to have anti-inflammatory benefits 30 times more effective than aspirin. But while the flavonoid pathway has been extensively studied in several other plants for decades, there has been no specific data on their biosynthesis in cannabis. Now, for the first time, researchers in Canada have uncovered how the cannabis plant creates these important pain-relieving molecules. Our objective was to better understand how these molecules are made, which is relatively straightforward exercise these days, explains Tariq Akhtar, a molecular and cellular biologist at the University of Guelph.
Hey, that's my dude.
There are many sequenced genomes that are publicly available, including the genome of cannabis sativa, which can be mined for information. If you know what you're looking for, one can bring genes to life, so to speak, and piece together how molecules like canflavins A and B are assembled.
You know what the deal is? They got a bunch of these canaflavins, but canaflavins. That's freaking awesome.
Canflavin.
Settle down, Mike. Jeez, this is our show.
I'm sorry.
Okay, God, you put you in the middle and you get a.
sorry.
Okay, but there's only, what does it say? 0.014% of the plant's weight is these canaflavins.
Canflavins only make up about 0.014% of the plant's weight.
Craig, we're finding out more and more stuff about this plant every day. How the healing properties are not there in a little, they're only there in a little amount, but this just goes to show you the more we find out.
There's so much to this plant. It's a super complex structure. With it only being 0.014% of the plant's weight, fields and fields of cannabis would have to be grown in order to capture these anti-inflammatory benefits. As a result, the researchers hope to use this new information to metabolically engineer their own pain-relieving medicine outside of the cannabis plant. To achieve this, they'll be working with the Toronto-based company Anahit International Corp., which has already licensed a patent from their university. This kind of speaks to the efficacy of the medicine, right? I don't know where it's at. It's floating around here somewhere. We're going to get it. Thank you. we talk about whole plant medicine.
Yeah, we do.
And full spectrum, what that means. Anytime they talk about how they're going to re-engineer what they're finding in these things in a lab in order to capitalize on. I mean, there's obviously can be some great of that. Like let's look at that as a benefit to learning more about this plant. This thing's 30 times better than aspirin, right?
Man, these scientists, these weed nerds, as I like to call them, I love them so much because they're just figuring out all the little things, the subtle nuances in plants. And this might be wrong. Scotty might be able to look it up for me. But I heard I was like, ooh, plant medicine. At one point in my life, I was like, plant medicine. Get out of here. I'll take my pills like the doctor and the commercials have told me to do. Okay, that plant medicine. I'm going to chew on a dandelion and it's going to make my tummy feel better. I don't think so. But, you come to learn that, 90% of the pharmaceuticals are plant derived, where they've gotten like the first step from this plant base and then kind of maneuvered it.
A strong majority of our pharmacopoeia is derived directly from the Amazon.
That blew my mind. Because plant medicine. Why would that not?
We've been using plants as medicine since we've been a thing.
Thank you. I was brainwashed at a time, which it's my own fault. I bought into the system. That's what I am.
You're a kid. You're supposed to trust the people that are enriching your life.
I know, but I should have known. Look at the people I surrounded myself with.
I get it.
I know, right? I should have been able to figure that out. They're all liars. But yeah, we got to. I mean, we talk about plant medicines a lot, and to hear a guy like Hamilton Souther to talk about how cannabis is a plant medicine and how when you dine with cannabis, wow, it can be everything from a rope to this semi-psychedelic that can kind of open you up and connect you.
Somebody just built an airplane that also runs on fuel made from it. How about that?
Really? That's
weird.
That's stupid. Why would anybody do that? That's crazy.
One thing that's encouraging about that is they say, the molecules are so small that it would be very hard to farm cannabis in a way that they'd be able to get enough of these canflavins out of it. However, they're working to develop a biological system to create the molecules, which would give us the opportunity to engineer large quantities. Without some of the side effects of other painkillers, the authors think the synthesis of these molecules can make a big difference in the pharmaceutical industry. Previous studies have shown that the vast majority of patients prefer cannabis to opioids when managing their pain, which suggests there's ample market for a drug that mimics its benefits. There's clearly a need to develop alternatives for relief of acute and chronic pain that go beyond opioids. These molecules are not psychoactive, and they target the inflammation at the source, making them ideal painkillers.
Canaflavin pills brought to you by Pfizer. Get your Canaflavin, the best Canaflavin in town. The most delicious Flintstone vitamin Canaflavins.
Side effects may include empty bags of Cheetos.
And your anus will go away. It'll vanish.
Actually packs its
anal vanishing.
Side effects include wearing a Bob Marley shirt and you can't name any songs.
Tiffany says, and this is going back to our guy Lance Storm. Lame. They still need to provide a PIN for background checks and fingerprints, and we are a few days away from when apps are due. Okay. And Jenny says they gave him back his medicine. So that's
how that played out.
And we got people on our thread. If you're not watching us on Facebook, we are live in the Hoosier Sophisticate page and the Sophisticated Hoosiers page.
We're also on YouTube on Mycelial Media.
We are?
We are.
Oh, wow. We should start directing. We should get everybody to go over there because Facebook is stupid.
Tell you what, I'd put you in a running to win something next week if you comment on the YouTube stream while we're live and you share it.
Seriously?
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Let's give
something away. We're going to migrate you Mo's over to YouTube where we can do and say what we want.
Your mouth. Then we got Janet saying the Punisher symbol makes no sense at all.
None.
This is funny from KC Weed Blog. They follow our page. They said, I get 2 to 5 new FB friend requests a week for online sales.
Dude, it's
with a name like that, KC Weed Blog. I wonder why. Okay. Tiffany also says, Adam says after recreation came on in Washington, the black market thrived during the first 6 to 12 months and then declined once the kinks were worked out.
Oh,
we don't kink
shame around here. Jordan Harker, I'll follow that up with Jordan Harker saying the black market's alive and well in Colorado. You can drive about 15 miles out of any place with the dispensary and find people not willing to go to the dispensary.
I know.
Make it easy on me.
Side note, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we talked about this last week off air. Wasn't Jordan Harker, wasn't he the first ever use of the dump button on this show?
Maybe perhaps one of the most frequent uses of the dump button. On this show,
I think he was just letting them fly.
Oh, that was great.
That's our buddy. He runs autoflower.net.
It's good
really
interview.
some unbelievable information over there. Autoflowers are fascinating.
Buddy, he's got some of the most vivid photography I've ever seen too. Like with some of those.
He used to just get our day started. Woo! Jordan, we need you to start doing that again. You just get our day started with whatever little shatter or
I know,
diamonds or butter or live resin.
I'd wake up and be like, the world's not so bad.
Not so bad. Look at our buddy Jordan there, able to enjoy this buffet of THC and CBD.
And Tiffany also says we just need to get more bioflavonoids from other plants in our diet too. Don't tell me to eat plants.
Tell me what to do, Doc. You don't know
I'm
what you're
a
talking
man.
about. You got some kind of schooling to back that up?
There's one thing I like to talk about too. We got more cannabis news. Can we hear that cannabis news thing again? Because that was the coolest. We got a lot of people on the text line saying, can we hear that again? That was super cool.
Hey, Hoosiers, are you ready for some cannabis news? Are we talking about weed? Whoa.
I love
You're
that he's
welcome.
my partner. I love that he's my
Thank
partner.
you, Mark.
I like it. I actually like something you did.
Well, that's funny because Seth goes, I was expecting that to be 3.5 minutes long.
Yeah, I was like, this is going to be like a 3.5 minute thing.
It's
And
awesome.
he'll never get around to actually saying cannabis news either.
And Scott, maybe you can look this up too. Who are, what did I tell you to look up earlier? Do you have that? No, that never.
I'm
mind.
literally
Are you
behind
saying
my
not on?
laptop.
He's not on. Is he on?
I don't hear him.
He's not on. Sorry, we're not talking to you anymore. God, you ruined Scott. You ruined Scott for our show. Mark don't care. Mark don't care. All right, cannabis industry's lobbying on track to hit a new record. Lobbyists, that's a fascinating thing to me.
It's
How we've let lobbying just become this deal that happens. And I mean, my lady works in the, I don't want to say my lady like I'm possessing her because I saw a pretty funny song about that today, but you know, my gal, don't touch her. She's mine. She works in the insurance. She works in the insurance industry, and I was always fascinated how the insurance lobby is, I think, maybe the biggest. If Scott can look that up, and we won't talk to him or after that. But you know, the lobbying, pretty much whatever amount of money you put into lobbying, it seems like you get out a lot. The biggest players in lobbying usually have things maneuvered in their way. If I can say
That's what a lobbyist is a big player.
Okay, thank you. The growing industry is topping its past levels of spending on lobbying, though it's still not showing out as much as bigger Washington players. As the cannabis industry keeps growing, it's on track to set a fresh record in its spending on lobbying in Washington after shelling out $2.7 million to influence lawmakers and regulators in 2018. The industry has disclosed outlays of at least $1.6 million, which is pittance. That's got to be pittance when it comes to lobbying. Am I right?
Yes. Was that $1 million?
$1.6 million in 2019's first half, putting it on pace for a new spending record by year's end. This year's total at the halfway mark already slightly beats 2017's overall figure. I wonder what kind of lobbying we're getting over there, Craig and crew.
Well, it's interesting to me that with such small numbers, there is such a fervor for this. It's almost like it's crazy to me that we have so many people that are pushing this forward. That's there's no explaining why we still have no movement at the federal level. The only explanation is that it is a huge revenue generator and it's a crutch for this bloated, unelected bureaucracy that are in the name of safety. The DEA, the ATF. You just keep on going down the line. There's agencies that watch over agencies that watch over agencies, and all of them, none of them were none of us took a vote to grant these people this kind of power, right? And it's grown so out of control that the only way to actually get any movement at the federal level is with gross amounts of money through lobbying. So it's one of those things where you're right. Like, how did we let lobbying get to be this way? But at the same time, now we need this beast more than anything, right? Bring it back to the last election in 2016. had Bernie Sanders Bernie Sanders raised an outrageous amount of money, and most of his donations were $20 or less, right? But when it came down to it,
Well, have you seen the people that vote for him?
I get it, brother. I get it.
$20
We don't have
is
to,
like
we
$100.
don't have to get into it, but that speaks for how bad those people wanted it, But but more than that, once it got to a point where it was like, okay, but really though, there's like a hierarchy. You guys got to recognize here, like it's her turn.
Would you like to hear the list of the top spenders in lobbying?
Sure.
This is from OpenSecrets.org, Center for Responsive
Open
Politics.
secrets.
I know, I like it already. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce doubles the next person in lobbying.
That kind of makes sense to me, I think.
What can you explain it to
Yeah, it
people?
didn't make sense to me.
To people, because
typically chambers of commerce, right? Like that's when we get big projects that are built in St. Louis or something like that. Like Square is now going to move their headquarters to downtown St. Louis. The chambers of commerce are who are lobbying for these type of jobs. They're asking for tax breaks. They're asking for
so like the Baldwin Chamber of Commerce would get together, like.
Well, I don't know if they're putting them all together, like if they're considering like all municipal chambers of commerce within the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, then that kind of makes sense to me because they're constantly trying to get senators and representatives to take votes in order to issue favors and grants to move businesses about the country. So that kind of makes sense to me.
That is, I wouldn't have guessed that. National Association of Realtors with $20 million.
Really?
U.S. Chamber of Commerce is the top. This is 2019.
Okay.
40 million. Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America is 3. Blue Cross Blue Shield.
3 million?
No, third. 16 million.
That's so far this year.
Yes. Blue Cross Blue Shield, 12 million. 4th on the list. American Hospital Association, American Medical Association, Open Society Policy Center. Then you got Amazon, Northrop Grumman, Amazon, and then Facebook, each with about $7.5–8 million.
So you've got 2 massive internet companies and the largest defense contractor in the country.
Yep. Then United Technologies, Boeing, AT&T, Koch Industries, Pfizer, Lockheed Martin, National Association of Broadcasters. There we go. There we go.
Guys, we're in good hands.
In, baby.
We're in good hands.
Woo!
All
Alphabet
right.
Inc., which is probably the
Alphabet's Google, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the devil. Comcast Corp, and then the Internet and the NCTA, the Internet and Television Association. So that's kind of an interesting deal.
Well, it's
kind of obvious.
We can be frustrated with the amount of money in politics and the kind of sway that they have. But at this point, if you are pro-cannabis, then you need to be cheering on the cannabis lobby and donating to it if you can, right? We're pleased to see significant momentum building behind the push for cannabis policy reform at the federal level. From our perspective, it is especially pleasing to see the growth in bipartisan support for the States Act, which now has 60 co-sponsors in the House, including 15 members of the Judiciary Committee. So, I mean, it's a necessary evil, man. It's unfortunately, it's the game we play. You can lay out as good of information as you want to lay out there. You can have as much passion from the people as you want to have out there. But at the end of the day, you still need, 535 people to vote, a majority of them to vote to make a change. And then you got to hope that the person sitting in the big chair signs off on it.
Yeah. So, and you got to hope they also eat longhorn steer for breakfast.
That one's for us.
So, I mean, this is the cannabis world. I want to go back to the outlaw thing. Like, it's still just a part of me is like, man, I love that outlaw nature of the cannabis game.
Make you feel like a bad boy.
Well, you know me. I've always been a bad boy. And we got a guy here. I want to bring him into the show. We got our buddy Mike Ote here, and we both know this guy.
One of my favorites. He has no idea all of the things that I love so much about him.
I know. I truly love this guy. Go ahead and get right up on that microphone. Like, put your mouth right on. Kind of give it a little lick.
Like this? Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. Get the live stream for that. You're going to have to pay extra. Right. But this is a fella who we've known forever. One of the most good-hearted people. Yes. Like you and I hate to say it, but Whittle guy, J-Rob, every time I would see you guys would be like, what up? Like,
all
what
smiles.
up? Yes. Just having a good time.
Living our life to the fullest.
You always got like a gleam in your eye. That's
I agree.
Always kind of like, it always kind of like drawing me in to kiss you, which is weird. But whatever. I don't know. We'll get into that later.
But yeah,
but
shame him for it.
I wanted to bring you on the show tonight. You're looking good because what we want to do is we want to connect people in the industry. I know, Seth, you said something about, and maybe I shouldn't actually mention that, about, wouldn't it be cool to have a job in the industry, possibly?
Yeah, I'm looking in. I'm researching the
Okay.
cannabis industry.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I could say that.
No, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, so
You can say anything about me you want.
Oh my God!
right.
Can I do anything?
Seth has this mole. I would call it a beauty mark, actually, and it's located.
I named it Michael Keaton.
Ooh, that's Batman.
Thank you.
Yes.
So what? Okay, go into that a little bit. What have you done? Is there like a job? Is there what is that? Monster.com or Jobzilla? What were those sites?
Sure.
Is there? I
Monster's
guess there's
one of
that for cannabis now, right? Or are they just in the regular one?
Well, I mean, you know what? We can give a shout out on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can go to you can email info@mogreenswellness.com. George Nolan is collecting resumes as we speak right now.
Our dude.
George has been very upfront from the very beginning. Hey, if you're interested in getting in here and you think you have a skill set, you got a resume, send it to me. And as these licenses are granted, he's going to use his network and there's going to be a huge need for people in all facets of this business. The guys from Show Me Canna, from Intuitive Cannabis.
Okay.
Get on the app there. They are super helpful. Reach out to Lou over at ICI. Networkers extraordinaire in the cannabis game. The opportunities are bountiful for you to get in, but there are places for you to start sending resumes. I'll put a couple of emails and contacts out on the page. Reach out to us. This is one of the things that we started this whole thing for, was like, hey, let's be this little hub where people can come and be a part of the community and make friends within the community, because
we'll have friends finally, Craig.
It's about time.
We'll have friends. Yeah. Besides each other.
One thing that I've noticed, man, one thing that's beautiful about this industry that I've noticed is that everybody really treats it as though there's room for everybody in it to be successful. Who the people are going to do business with ultimately are the people that become their friends. Get to the events, go to the hangouts, join, trade associations, get to these different events, these fundraisers and things like that. Get to know these people personally. At the end of the day, there are going to be thousands of people that are trying to get into the industry. The ones that are going to get hired, the ones that are going to, are the ones that people want to work side by side with. I want to work with my friends. I want to work with my friends who are good at what they do. I'm not, we don't want to take on any strays. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
you get it. You get it. I know Steve's a stray collector. He's the Pied Piper of strays.
That's my deal. Seth, but what have you done? Did you fill out an application or what?
I have talked to some people that have applied for licenses. I'm not going to say any names in that area, but I've spoken with them. This license process, this takes several months, and they're getting flooded with resumes already. So I mean, they're going to be throughout the fall and the up until the end of the year, they're going to be going through this process and getting hit with resumes. So if you are interested, you got to, go now, start now, and plan on sending in multiple applications. But back to your question, I've just been mostly researching the needs.
Okay.
Like, I could go to the dispensary and work the counter with a cool hat on, like, bro, this is called a Purple Dragon, bro. It's one of my favorites. I could totally knock that out of the park.
You could do that for like a day until you went off on someone so hard.
Yeah,
I think Seth's probably pretty good at customer service.
It's on the back. If you guys walked in on me doing like actual customer service, like
that'd be
talk
great.
Completely different. Like,
who's that guy?
I'm acting. Yeah, it's an act. It's a complete act. But hey, that's what you got to do to be successful, And I completely lost my train of thought because
you're talking about.
I just researching what needs. And if
you could do the whole bud tendant thing,
I can do that. And I'm just looking.
What'd you find out? What is out there for a guy like you? What is out there for people who have minimal skills?
For a guy like me, I know.
I'm waiting for a guy like me.
See, I did surveillance in the military, and now I work in radio. I'm sure it translates into something.
Well, that's going to be a huge market, like protection or protection services.
Listen, they're absolutely.
Our guy, Peacemaker.
Yeah, Peacemaker.
Oh, I will guard your plants.
Peacemaker defense.
I will guard your plants. I mean, there might be some missing.
Peacemaker Defense Group. They have a whole cannabis division.
Yeah.
It's a cash business until the feds figure out, what we're going to do with banking, until we can move forward with some banking. People are literally sitting on vaults of cash, and they have to get it from point A to point B if they do have a credit union that they're working with. Ooh. It's a very dangerous business in and of itself. But even further than that, are you a carpenter? Can you put drywall up? Can you build out? Can you do electric? Can you wire someone's grow up? Can
buddy, there's
are you a plumber?
I
Can
know
you
if
do
you-
Hey,
irrigation?
if you want really cool graphics for your dispensary, hey, hit me up.
Okay, we're not talking about you. Jeez
going on
Louise,
here? Are you
a little
paying for
plug,
this time?
a little
What is
plug
going
for
on
himself.
I'm
No, but even I know a guy who's in the restaurant business and he's selling the plastic. He figured out, the plastic containers, they transfer perfectly over to hold nuggets.
They are sweet containers.
They are great containers.
like we didn't already know that from our Tupperware at home.
Yeah, we knew it. All right, so I want to talk to Mike here because Mike, we can get into it a little bit. Feel free to not talk about whatever you want to talk about. I know you're kind of
Just don't cuss.
you're an
Okay,
open
I will
book.
try.
No, dude, cuss is all you want. That means
We
we're
got a
doing our
dump
job.
button.
So what inspired me talking to you recently is like you want to do something better for your family, man. That's what stuck out to me. Can you just kind of go into what you're possibly looking to get into, where kind of this thought came from? We want to get inside the head of someone who might be in your shoes.
Okay, so it started, I guess, after I left St. Louis County last May. I didn't know what to do. I thought I had the perfect job. I was like, dude, I'm working for this, the county, I got pension. No. So, someone called me and said, hey, I need you to come help me. And he offered me a substantial amount of money compared to what I was making. So I said, okay, I'm going to learn this trade that I've been doing a little bit of for the past 15 years. So he's taken me under his wing, and now I'm his general foreman running his job sites.
Okay.
I run anywhere from 5 to 8 job sites a week.
Okay.
So I'm running around like crazy. But I want to get back to what I love the best. It's weed.
Me too, baby.
I mean,
Fair enough.
I want to help people in a different way where I make an impact. I like making an impact for, a couple or a family, but I want to put my name out there more.
Yeah.
And actually do something that I think will give me happier feelings.
Yeah, a little bit of a legacy because I'm right there with you, man. I saw one of your Facebook posts. I mean, I did remodeled bathrooms for a while, for 5-6 years, and seeing the plaster ceiling, like it's like a 10 by 10 plaster thing, can't
Yeah, that
find good
wasn't
help. Those are some of the
It's
worst
hard.
days
It's
ever,
really
man. And you're helping rebuild the city, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's what I knew.
Yeah.
You say you did a lot of city houses. Like
Yeah.
that work needs to be done.
Yeah.
But let
There's-
somebody else do it
there's
for
so
real.
many- there's
Let
so
somebody
many-
else do it.
There's so many crews out there, so many good crews and so many bad crews.
Oh, for sure, dude.
And it's the ones that are reputable that get talked about, from who
Yeah.
I know.
Are you looking to do something in the construction side of
I
the
wanna-
cannabis thing,
I
or are
kinda
you looking
wanna-
to?
I kind of want to more like spearhead projects
Okay.
because I know what needs to be done, and I can walk into a place, an empty shell of a place, and just see something that
Okay.
most people, they might see it or they might not know how to build it.
So maybe
And I
run
might be
a.
able to come in there as like a project management type thing,
Okay.
and kind of running from job to job to making sure shit gets done. I mean,
No,
stuff.
there we go.
Dump
Drop
that.
him. Drop
Dump
him.
that.
Hit the
Drop
dump
him.
button.
Drop him. There we go. And we got him. We get him. We
got
got him. We got him. All right. And we made him feel comfortable enough. I've been rubbing his leg under the table the whole time. No, see, and it's crazy because we talk about being in the cannabis game, and we have stayed. We thought we were staying on the edges, I guess, but we've kind of found ourselves smack dab in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really want to deal with compliance. We didn't have the capital to start a dispensary or get all the licensing. We had a guy who believed in us, some crazy guy at a radio station, and was like, I'll give these couple of these kids a chance on the radio. That's Seth. And
I was wondering who you were talking about.
that was you.
It was you, buddy. It's all for you.
No one
Um,
else would return my calls.
Fair enough. How far down on the list were we?
Oh, you were first,
Yeah.
bro. You were first.
But finding your way in this, and
We also wanted to stay kind of out of it's St. Louis, maybe more so than even anywhere else in the state, but it's very tribal. Like there's a lot of cliques that form, and like
Yeah.
our whole thing is man, if we're going to get people as much of the best information we possibly can, I really don't have time to get to meddle in personal dramas that are taking place out there, and just being open to give everybody a voice has cast a very wide net, and it's brought a lot of cool people together, and some people that were maybe at odds in the beginning are now working hand in hand with the. We are in the red zone now that we're starting to grant cards out to patients. We're a little bit further. Maybe we're inside the 10. We haven't punched in the end zone yet. We don't know who these dispensaries are. We're still all pulling in a direction together, and we still have to work towards adult use. So, I mean, there's still a lot that we have to do.
First half.
As licenses start to grant, I imagine, I think it's only natural that it's going to get a little bit more cutthroat. But, I want to be the guy that can walk into any of these places and have a buddy. You know what I mean? I think that's a good place to be in all facets of life, I know that we're up against
we got a quick thing from Daryl.
I saw that. Yeah, let's read that.
All my clients in Springfield have bank accounts, not a credit union, FDIC insured bank. Things are changing. Our guy. Woo! Daryl was the other guy who cussed like a sailor on this show.
Sure
Gosh
did.
darn it.
We are.
We don't use those words around here. Go ahead.
I was going to say we are up against it.
Okay, but real quick, this is how we help people like this. Step one, coming on this show.
Right.
Okay, that was
your life's
great.
about to change.
Yes,
right now.
that was the best decision.
You heard of the Oprah? You heard
made.
of the Oprah factor? Well, wait till you see the Hoosier factor.
Yeah, it'll
the Hoosier bump.
You'll have to get.
By the way, I wanted to thank you face to face.
No, you'll have to get penicillin for the Hoosier
for the
bump.
Hoosier Sophisticate.
It's a family, baby. We're building something. We're trying to build something cool here. We appreciate everybody hopping on board with us. But hey, get in the game. Come to these events with us. Anybody who wants to get in the game, it's not too late. Come out here with us. Just hang out.
Hang out on the Sophisticated Hoosiers page. Network a little bit. Make some friends with people. You'll find someone you might want to spend the rest of your life with.
What's the worst that could happen?
Seth, take us in the break, kid. What do you got?
Well, first, it's time for America's new favorite segment, and I hope I got all the bleeps in there because there are
Mark maybe needs to have his finger on the dump button just in case.
Yeah, I listened to it a few times, but
it's good.
It was funny every time. So
this
is the extra.
This embarrasses me.
This is the extra censored, extra long version of your Craig moment of the
Censoring speech is the most dangerous damn thing. It's the most slippery slope ever. Who the is getting offended? Who is getting offended for being compared to fucking bacon? Get the out of here. It's ridiculous. Them, their world. I don't want to participate in that world. And I'll tell you this, I will actively work against anybody trying to create that world. I will burn that world to the ground. You, your soft skin, everything that you stand for. If you want hate, I hate everything that you represent. If that offends you, I think you're garbage. I think you're the lowest form of evolution, and I think that the entire world suffers for your weakness. I'm going to migrate all of my people to the blockchain. I'm going to migrate all of my people to the blockchain because you piece of garbage, you weak piece of garbage. Okay, feel good now.
that was your Craig moment.
Oh God, we gotta get that sponsored. We gotta get that spot by.
Oh, people will
Rose,
be jumping to sponsor that.
Rose Extermination, Truman's Lifetime, James Carlton.
Who's talk about it on the break.
Cairo.
It's more of a break talk.
Listen, this first hour was brought to you by CarltonInsurance.net. If you are not insured by James Carlton, well, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. What the hell's the matter with you? He's going to make sure that you have the best insurance coverage that you've ever had in your life.
You were talking about someone who didn't have James Carlton insurance.
I was. That's exactly right. That was me cussing out. You don't have James Carlton? We'll bleep you.
You're
and
garbage.
Bleep everything you stand for. CarltonInsurance.net, 314-961-4800. This entire presentation is brought to you by our guy, Blake Bell at BellChiroSTL.com. Bell Chiropractic and Pain Management. They're writing recommendations. They'll straighten your back out. They'll remove hair. They'll remove tattoos. They'll shoot you up with testosterone if you're a fella and need that sort of thing. Check out Bell Chiro STL. This has been the first hour of Hoosier Sophisticate. Thank you so much for joining along. On the other side of the break, we'll go down the rabbit hole. We'll get weird with it, and we'll smash you with some streaming picks. Stick around.
Hey guys, it's me, Kippy the Crazy Koala Bear, and I'm here to tell you about James Carlton Insurance.
It's quiet down.
It's the best.
It's quiet down and listen to Kippy.
Grown-ups need insurance, and Uncle James can help.
Right on.
Grown-ups need insurance. He's got the best reviews on Yelp. Grown-ups need insurance if they want to protect their house.
Yes, sir.
Grown-ups need insurance if they want to properly bury a spouse.
That's a bit morbid.
Grown-ups need insurance if they drive a truck.
Okay.
Grown-ups need insurance just so they don't get.
Whoa, Kippy! You can't.
Well, I was just going to say
cannot.
get in trouble.
Okay, well, it
you
sounded
don't
like
want
you
to
were
get
going
in trouble.
you were going to say something else. James Carlton, State Farm Insurance. You can find him online at carltoninsurance.net, or you can call him at 314-961-4800. Lifetime.
Yeah.
It lasts a lifetime. Come on. It lasts a lifetime.
And just go Google it.
I'm gonna lay those shingles down, girl, for you. I'm gonna lay those shingles down, boy, for you. I'm gonna do some siding, get you excited. James Hardy siding.
Google it.
Rooftop for a lifetime. You know I make your neighbors cry. Boo. Cause we tell all the leaks go by. And you know we all do the side.
Party boy, yeah.
Guys, Lifetime Roofing. They're the best roofers in the game, best customer service. LifetimeSTL.com. Google them.
Spiders are found on nearly every continent on the earth. Bugs and arachnids, and insects and other little critters are vital to the Earth's homeostasis, keeping our planet in balance and making all of our lives better. They are vital, beautiful little creatures. Unless you come in my house, and then I'm calling Rose Extermination. Rose Extermination!
When we installed internet access on our computer, I got the whole family involved. It was a lot of work, but it was really worth it.
That's right, Dad. Now the whole family can stream WGNU live by visiting WGNU920am.com.
We installed the internet on our computer just a short time ago, and I haven't been able to get the kids off it ever since.
That's right. Isn't the internet neat? You can also listen to past shows and featured interviews on our homepage.
No wonder you guys are always so busy on the computer.
WGNU920am.com. Point, click, and listen live.
It's really cool.
Yanks come home. After a hard-fought battle in the Aleutian Islands, and after saving the homes, ideals, and values of free people from Axis domination, our boys and girls are coming home after kicking Hitler's butt. Oh boy. On the home front, Bell Chiropractic and Pain Management has been helping our boys and girls with back pain, primary care, and medical marijuana physician certification. The devil's lettuce. Visit Bell Chiro STL for more details.
This is St. Louis Baseball Weekly.
It seemed like this whole weekend was fun for you, but was there any pressure at all, or were you able to just truly enjoy all of this?
No, I didn't put any pressure. I think for me, you know me, you covered me for a long time, you know, on the other side. I told myself I'm going to enjoy every moment. I'm going to do everything, and then, you know, I'm going to prepare myself the way that I prepare myself for the game, and that's what I did. You know, I enjoyed every moment, and I'm telling you, in the next couple of days here, you know, I probably gonna really enjoy it more, you know, because it was so much and it happened so quick.
St. Louis Baseball Weekly with Brian Stoll every Friday at noon right here on WGNU 920 AM.
Did you know a vehicle is stolen once every 40 seconds in the United States? The cost adds up to over $6 billion a year, which leads to higher auto insurance rates for all of us. But there are steps you can take to help put the brakes on vehicle theft. When you leave your vehicle, always roll up the windows completely. Don't leave valuables in the car. Take the keys or the fob with you. Lock the doors. And if you are out at night, always park in a well-lit area. For an extra layer of protection, install an audible alarm system or tracking system, and use steering wheel or brake pedal locks. If you have information on vehicle theft, contact the National Insurance Crime Bureau. Reach us at 1-800-TEL-NICB. That's 1-800-TEL-NICB. Or visit our website at www.nicb.org. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
I think really the worth in these psychedelics is simply that they allow you to triangulate upon reality. I mean, in other words, if all you've got is awake and asleep, you can't go far with that. But if you've got awake, asleep, and DMT as points, you can build a much more dimensionally rich model of consciousness.
Welcome back, St. Louis. Let's get your mind right with Craig Kohler and Stephen Elgin. This is Hoosier Sophisticate on WGNU.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second hour of Monday's edition of Hoosier Sophisticate here on WGNU 920 AM. We're going to butter up your ear holes here and hit you with some rabbit hole weirdness. The second hour is brought to you by Lifetime Roofing. Roof? They do siding. They do all exterior work. And if things are looking a little wet on your ceiling,
they'll take care of that
they're going
brown
to take care of
spot.
it just right. They're going to take care of it just right. They're going to come out. All you got to do is just go Google them.
They'll make your brown spot white.
Yeah, I guess they will.
They'll bleach it. Your ceilings. They give us advertising dollars to talk about bleaching
ceiling
brown spots.
I wanted to jump to the YouTube comment line here. Just you. I wanted to jump to the YouTube comment line here where Dr. Ross says, "There we go. Much better quality over here on the red tube."
Excuse me?
That's YouTube, sir.
So we're getting better quality feed over there. And I'll tell you what, Facebook is a little bit delayed in their feed sometimes. And YouTube is right on it, baby.
Right on.
Right on, right on, right on, right on, right on, right
Seth,
on.
please take me down the rabbit hole and get
me
me out of this loop. Get me out of this loop.
Let's go down the rabbit hole.
Right on.
I haven't been paying attention since we got back.
Nobody has.
I was...
Take me down the rabbit hole.
We're back.
All right, Craig. Elon Musk, member of the PayPal Mafia, co-founder of the electric vehicle company Tesla, a man who dreams of boring tunnels under cities and hurtling people over hundreds of miles through hyperloops, wants us to trust him with our lives and our brains. We talked about this a little bit, I think, last week. In addition to the cars, tunnels, and vacuum tubes, the serial entrepreneur also has a company which works on brain-machine interfaces, BMI, called Neuralink. So you've been following this Neuralink thing, Stephen, very closely, and it's freaking you out, and you've lost a lot of sleep. What are your initial thoughts on?
I don't lose any sleep over it.
What's your thoughts on Mr. Musk here?
I am a huge Elon Musk guy, and if you didn't see that video of how the astronauts don't like Elon Musk, and they told him while he was on like 60 Minutes, they're like,
he broke down crying.
Yeah, he cried
because those were his
like
heroes.
Buzz Aldrin or somebody.
Yeah, they're his heroes.
They say never meet your heroes.
Yeah, and they're like, they don't think you should be doing that. And he's like, it was gut-wrenching.
It really was.
I was like, ooh, I wasn't planning on crying on a Wednesday morning watching the Elon Musk videos, but now I must touch myself.
Let's talk about Neuralink.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about Neuralink. It hasn't kept me up, Seth, because it's the inevitable. And a buddy of mine, Squeeve, had a pretty profound experience on dimethyltryptamine, and it's totally got his mind all jazzed up about religion, about what life is, about this whole trip that we call life. I'm trying to figure things out. But again, we said it before at the beginning of the show. If you can kind of love everything and We had, God help me with Diane Elkins' project. What is the name of her Facebook page?
Pure Body and Wellness?
Pure Body and Wellness. She said, look at the things in your life. And we talked about Duncan Trussell, about how he said, look at everything as a teacher. Look at everything that makes you mad. Like that plaster roof was just a teacher teaching you patience, teaching you understanding, teaching you kindness, teaching you how to treat your fellow person after that happened. Like you can look at it that way. Totally, you can. But good old Diane Elkin was saying, instead of saying I have to work with Craig, I say I get to work with Craig. It's a change.
It changed.
Isn't that
next day?
Isn't it? Okay. So what I'm saying with all these things about turning on and getting right, because the machines and us, we're linking up. Neural link. Okay. Seth, we're going to be able to download anything. We're going to be able to maybe become what we actually are. You sent me an interesting article. We might get a guy on the show who says our reality is just us learning about the holographic universe that's around us, right? I mean,
basically saying your mind causes hallucinations all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's reality.
Working on getting him on the show, Craig. I don't know if you saw the video.
I did see the video.
Yeah, it's pretty
I've actually watched that one before.
Craig's got a 40-part question ready to go for
about it.
ready to rock and roll.
My favorite book I've ever read is The Holographic Universe. I talk about it all the time. Dr. Michael Talbot. It's amazing.
I need to get that.
Everybody needs to read that book.
I need to get that.
It makes sense of all of the magic, psychic, everything, but it also lays down some pretty hard science, man. Like some pretty irrefutable science.
When was that written?
I want to say probably in the mid 90s.
Okay.
Maybe late 90s.
Okay, cool. But I think it's inevitable. All of this tech, I think, is inevitable. I think we're going to have steps forward and steps back. Obviously, we saw Google Glass, and people weren't ready to have glasses on their face that might be taking your picture. Like, that might be taking your picture.
Dr. Charles talked about that.
Okay, now we got, because he was talking about how the
everybody's
technology,
attached to the internet with their hand.
Yes.
We still have control over that, but they weren't ready to let this alien attach to their face.
So that's an inevitability. I want to focus on getting people to a higher spiritual level, a higher metaphysical vibration, a higher frequency that we're all vibrating on, that we've all been at a concert and enjoying ourselves and know that that's an optimum vibration we need to be running at. With all of these tools we're figuring out, and with the spread of information, if Zuckerberg would let us spread our bacon, or if he would let us do it.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't bring bacon up.
I know, we're going to be shut down. But I think we need to focus on that more than we need to focus on the terrifying Black Mirror aspects of technology.
Okay, let's look at the shadow side of it for a little bit. So let's explain a little bit of how Neuralink works. The proposed future technology involves a module placed outside the head that wirelessly receives information from thin, flexible electro threads embedded into the brain. The system could include as many as 3,072 electrodes per array distributed across 96 threads, each run 4 to 6 micrometers in width. The threads would be embedded by a robotic apparatus that would avoid damaging blood vessels. So the shadow side of it for me is I love the idea of all of us being able to kind of tap into this net, right? It's a great idea. But we've already kind of been shown that everything electrical can be hacked. Everything electronic can be hacked.
I was going to say, is your memory going to become part of like a search
no
history?
Doubt about it. If you're worried about your data
see?
being mined now, imagine what happens when you have wires that are actually hooked into your brain. Now, you can choose whether or not to put the helmet on, but how many times do you have to put it on before they really know?
Can you kind of be biochemically hacked, maybe through like empaths, or maybe more, or when you're holding space for someone? That's kind of a biomechanism of a way of hacking, because the closer we become to the machines, the closer the machines kind of maneuver our direction too.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the most wild times to be alive ever.
Oh, no question.
And sometimes it makes me wonder if maybe they didn't figure this out way back when, and then everything's on our link. So why would we need buildings? We would just pretty much need an incubation center that we're comfortable in, and then everything's on the link, so I don't have to worry about anything in this physical realm. If that's the way things were at one point, all of that would be gone. you know, that society, if they all died, everything would be wiped away. It's not like they built these massive structures that would stand the test of time. They've been linked up and they've been gone or whatever. And maybe that's when you start, as a species, we send the neural link out into space, and it's just this bio.
It's an encyclopedia of all of our knowledge that we get to just kind of spread out into the universe.
Thank you.
We try to do it right, like Carl Sagan tried to do that by putting everything on a gold record.
Yeah,
my dad used to crack up all the time because he'd be like, "What an idiot," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Oh yeah, let's just assume that any alien species that happens to be traversing through the cosmos, that they're, you know, benevolent, loving creatures. Let's just go ahead and give them a map to our Earth, and then what shows up? Oh, something that's probably destroyed every planet in its way and every civilization in its way in order to get across the universe and leached all of the, like, to make that assumption that, like, oh, they're just going to be good. We come in peace. And they're like, look at, they showed us where they're at. Look at these guys.
I know.
Anyway,
I know. But Carl Sagan would have felt like a real bobo.
Probably not.
Like, I brought the death aliens to us. Oopsie. Oopsie.
But there are some cool sides to Neuralink, right? Like if you maybe you're an help me out, an amputee.
Yeah, I was gonna say
all of a sudden that works really hand in hand with prosthetics. That could be really cool for people.
I mean, that's already working without Neuralink.
Right here it says Neuralink and other companies working on BMI are creating devices for people who are disabled and attempts to allow people without control of their body parts to control devices with their minds.
Buddy, if you got Neuralink, why do you care if you have any limbs?
I don't know that it's going to work exactly like that. I mean,
because you can't dance.
I don't know that it's going to pull you out of your waking reality. I mean, I'm sure it can be eventually.
Going.
Oh, it will. And that was actually one thing I was going to say. I was like, I feel good that it's Elon Musk that spearheads this project, because he is the only one who has spoken out time and again about how, like, maybe we should pump the brakes on AI a little bit.
Yes.
We are putting a lot of power in the hands of computing, of something that compute at speeds that we can't even fathom, especially as quantum computing comes along.
And he's Mr. Open Source.
He owns a majority of the company, but he doesn't have an exact iRobot. No doubt. Yeah, talk to
Smith. Yeah, you don't tell us. Tell people listening.
iRobot. It's going to happen.
It's happening.
It will. Yeah.
That's what we stopped the show for. Jesus, Mike.
So, but he does not own an executive position. And I think that even you could have, it's like the idea of, like, we put a system in place where people chose a king, right? And that king was benevolent and he was all loving and he was really about his people. And then his kid turned out to be Joffrey.
Oh yeah.
But the rules are in place. So like, don't just assume that power is always going to be, whoever's in power is always going to be this benevolent.
Yeah, but aliens, man, you take that risk.
Yeah. But AI, I think AI is about ones and zeros, man. That's what's scary.
We got our buddy Will O'Donnell tuning in. We had quite the uncensored podcast.
Yes, we're going to have a lot of good content coming up online.
Follow our wherever you can get podcasts, and you'll find us on there. Seth, what else you got for us, buddy?
All right. Individuals argue that the rise in Lyme disease in recent times is entirely the fault of the U.S. government, the product of an experiment in biological warfare gone horribly awry.
What?
Today, Junior.
Yeah, thank you.
Among these believers is representative. Now that you're looking at me, I can't
you're in his kitchen now.
Christopher Smith of New Jersey, who introduced an amendment that would require the Inspector General of the Department of Defense to conduct a review of whether the Department of Defense experimented with ticks and other insects regarding use as a biological weapon between the years of 1950 and 1975. The broader question here is, how far-fetched is it? And do you think the government would release biological weapons?
Yes, I do think they would. Yes, I do think they would.
Yes.
I think everybody in this
resounding yes. That they would, resounding yes that they would do that. They have.
I think they
in St. Louis.
We've seen that they have like remote control mosquitoes, like drone mosquitoes. Now that's not what's going on here. They actually
I'm sitting here talking about ticks and there's drone mosquitoes. You
drone bees.
Bees, like, dude, they have flies that they can fly in with cameras and do surveillance on their enemies. They'll land a fly on the wall and this thing's recording, and it's wild, dude.
If they're gonna mess with insects, just clone these bees. We need more bees. Start making more bees.
No doubt. Make all the bees.
We don't need more mosquitoes.
So have you seen the coyotes where they shoot out that drone that shoots out all the little mini drones.
All the little drones. They're so cool. They're so cool.
Yeah, they're cool.
Nanobots.
They're cool.
So you're saying that they just released huge populations of ticks?
The theory contends that the weaponization of ticks occurred during the U.S. bioweapons program during the Cold War, and that some of the weaponized ticks escaped or were deliberately released.
Chimeras.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think it's that far fetched.
No,
it seems like a pretty good way for a little bit of population control.
Man,
they also want to see. They're like, hey, we got a couple 100 million people. We're against a war against and at the time, a country, a Soviet bloc that was really posturing some serious strength. They're like, we're going to win this thing at all costs.
They had to, because the Soviet.
Can ticks survive in Siberia? Let's check them out. Let's dump them in northern Wisconsin. Sorry about you.
I know there's a place for some of those sickos, like especially during the Cold War. This guy comes in there and he's a nut job. Like everyone in his town is like, you're a crazy person, man. He goes and gets a government job and he's like, got this idea for ticks that'll kill people. And they're like, fill out this application and get your butt in here. Do you need a name badge? This is a badge that'll get you into all the doors here. Ticks that kill people. This is the kind of stuff we want, people.
Yeah.
He becomes like the employee of the month.
Yeah.
The Cold War is a crazy time because they were doing all sorts of experiments.
It still exists, right? Like we say that the Cold War is over, but the Cold War is pretty alive and well.
Yeah, you got to wonder about what's going on now, because those are
totally alive and well.
I know, but they pretty much get that. They're not doing the acid experiments anymore, because those, if you haven't checked those out,
they're building DMT time machines.
I don't doubt that for 1 second. Actually, is that where the level it goes now? I guess because we've seen the videos of the housewife eating LSD. We've seen the video of the English soldiers who they go tell them to do like a mission, and they're laughing and climbing trees and stuff. And the lead soldier here, the one who's in command, he's like really holding it together until a point he just can't hold it together anymore. And so we've been there on all of that. Where are we? Where are those experiments at now? DMT time machine? I mean, what do we? What? They know things we can only imagine.
Buddy, do you think that we have Google Earth, right, or Google Maps? You go on, you can get a street view. Do you think that we got that technology whenever it just came out?
Yeah, Google
you don't think that the governments had that, and a lot, like the gigapixel picture of Beijing, where you can zoom in and count the nose hairs on somebody walking across the street. Nuts. That's everywhere. That's the world that we live in.
Do you think the tech companies are finally bigger than the government?
I think the tech companies are
the government.
That's why I'm such a firm.
They're in bed.
That's why I mean, you see, look how much Facebook has changed.
Yeah.
Look how much Facebook has changed in 10 years, but in the last year since Zuckerberg ate that whole plate of flies in front of Congress.
That was crazy when he
smashed them.
And guys, my streaming pick, it's gonna cover all of this. It's one of the most important films I've ever seen, and I think everyone needs to at least watch it once to see what's going on. That's going to come up after our break here. You got one more for us?
We got 5 minutes till the break there.
We can do this real quick.
We get that wormhole one more time?
Let's see. They started off by saying the Pledge of Allegiance, Craig. 10 minutes later, they were reading the text of a resolution claiming the existence of overwhelming evidence that pre-planted explosives caused the destruction of the 3 World Trade Center buildings. On July 24, 2019, nearly 18 years after the horrific attacks that traumatized a nation and changed the world forever, the Franklin Square and Munson Fire District, which is somewhere around Queens, New York, I believe, became the first legislative body in the country to officially support a new investigation into the events of 9/11. So a few questions. What kind of information are they going to dig up? What are they going to do with this information? Will it be some kind of bombshell, or will it just go away like everything else?
They're going to gag it. They're going to gag it just like they did the 9/11 Commission report. The entire thing was redacted.
Bull crap, too.
Yep.
And Cheney and Bush just, they talked not under oath, and the conversation was never recorded. There's a bunch of weird stuff going on there.
Dick Cheney's, by the way, one side of his face looks like it just quit.
I think he has Bell's palsy,
like a fast food employee with a bad attitude.
It's true.
No, it's been like you look at older pictures.
You can have Bell's palsy for life. what's his face, Jim Ross from the WWE, like the old announcer.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't have it for life.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he do. Yeah, his
Well,
face is all
I'm sure he
paralyzed.
still has.
Anyway,
I
believe me,
remember when he got
believe
it.
me, you can have it
Because
for life
I was
because when
watching
I got it, the first thing that I read was like, oh, it usually goes away for 2 weeks, but some people have it forever. And I'm like,
no.
Well, I wasn't. I never thought about taking my own life before, and in that moment, I was like, if this is forever, it gave me that.
Oh,
that
you're
whole
so weak.
That whole sickness.
I'm just joking.
Yeah,
I
you
would've-
had so much
I would've
fun.
done it. It
You
was
had
my
so
favorite
much fun
week.
with me doing. But no, that's what that little bout with that gave me so much introspection, so much empathy for people that struggle with, chronic illness and even stroke victims,
God,
people
yeah.
that have any kind of paralysis. Like
You're blessed.
I'm so blessed.
I'm
so blessed. All right, so let's get back to this. Was it a controlled demolition?
Probably.
I think the weirdest thing when anyone talks about conspiracy theories, World Trade 7 still just
makes no sense.
Baffles my mind.
Nothing hit it.
I was super into the actual footage, and I remember them interviewing Larry Silverstein. He's like, I told the firemen to pull the building. And I'm like, man, that's crazy. Our firemen can pull a building. And you can still find that I think it's a little hard to find online now. But the guy who had the insurance policy was being interviewed, and he's like, yeah, they told him to pull it because it just gets demoed. There's a bunch of weird stuff. And I know the go-to is how do you keep that many people, from knowing something? And it's very simple. I learned, like, when you compartmentalize everything and give each person just the tiniest little task, and hopefully no one asks questions. Again, that goes to my net or streaming pick. Like there's a science. Smart people have figured out how to compartmentalize everything so you can have your thing done without anyone questioning you. No one knows enough to question.
And let's also take into consideration how many people did it really take to pull that job off? I mean, you could have had if it's a controlled demolition, you have explosive experts that come in. They wire these buildings up. Okay. You have 6 black op agents that hijack planes, They got through security. No big deal. It's horrendous what happened. Like, nobody is denying. That's the whole thing. It's not like being a Holocaust denier, or something like that, where you're denying the existence of these atrocities taking place. We saw them take place. And many innocent people, thousands of innocent people were killed. So like, it doesn't feel good to be like, oh yeah, like to make this like to make it a circus, but it should also piss you off that like things don't. We just took it for what it is, guys. We all felt as patriotic as we've ever felt in our life on September 12th, 2001. No doubt about it.
No doubt.
Everybody
about
was
it.
a patriot on September 12th. Oh, you're going to come and hit us in the mouth? Nobody does that.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Meanwhile, like how fresh was it before we could actually start talking about like, man, a lot of this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and like the
A
war,
lot of this just does not make sense.
The war in Afghanistan's still going on, and that started shortly after that, and none of that made sense to me either. Even as an 18-year-old kid, and I was like, I'm joining up. I mean, obviously, look at me. I could never do it.
It's
eating me alive.
It's just one of those things where I don't think anybody wants to believe it, but I also don't think that many people believe it as it's told. And so that's a frustrating place to be, right? And it also kind of highlights all of the things we've ever learned about history. Like we saw this happen in real time on TV when we had 24/7 news. Like everything that we've ever been taught was filtered through newspapers and old-timey radio, and going back even before that, it was regional newspapers, and then it was word of mouth and scrolls. Like it was just kind of people right now with evidence in front of their face don't know what to believe. We're as polarized as we've ever been, and we have more information and misinformation available to us than we've ever had before.
Buddy, and you're the one who turned me on to that last deep fake video. The point of it is we're getting to a point where technology is not going to have utter control, but we as the controllers, we're going to have the control over the most massive and mighty tool since the internet. It'll be the Internet of Things, and the way I think we can combat that is by forming these little organic communities that we have formed that we didn't even know was gonna happen. We had strangers help another stranger move just because they saw it on the group. My buddy was there. It was that's how you combat that. You get together with your friends, you find new friends, you ask them questions about themselves, like you figure out what turns people on, and you're going to get more connected with that self that still is grounded in the earth, because we get further and further away from that all the time. So I love the Hoosiers. I love everybody who helps us do what we do, man. Like, we couldn't do this without you guys.
No doubt, brother. Hey, we're way up against it, guys.
Yeah.
We're way up against it.
Oh, yeah.
On the other side of the break, we're going to wrap up this week a little bit. We're going to shout out our sponsors, and we're going to give you some streaming picks of the week. This is Hoosier Sophisticate on WGNU 920 AM. Stick around to the other side.
Yanks come home. After a hard-fought battle in the Aleutian Islands, and after saving the homes, ideals, and values of free people from Axis domination, our boys and girls are coming home after kicking Hitler's butt. Oh boy. On the home front, Bell Chiropractic and Pain Management has been helping our boys and girls with back pain, primary care, and medical marijuana physician certification. The devil's lettuce. Visit Bell Chiro STL for more details.
Spiders are found on nearly every continent on the earth. Bugs and arachnids and insects and other little critters are vital to the Earth's homeostasis, keeping our planet in balance and making all of our lives better. They are vital, beautiful little creatures. Unless you come in my house, and then I'm calling Rose Extermination. Rose Extermination!
James Carlton Insurance 314-961-4800. Handsome, amazing, astonishing, astounding, fabulous, incredible, fantastical, phenomenal, prodigious, stupendous, unbelievable, wondrous, divine, fantastical. No, seriously, he's fantastical. You got a house, go on and get it insured. You got a car, you gotta get it insured. You got a life, go on and get it insured. James Carlton Insurance.net. Fantastic. Stupendous. Fantastic. Hey girl, where you wanna go?
I don't care, I just love you.
Are you hungry? Do you wanna get something to eat?
I don't care, I'm kinda hungry.
Well, what sounds good?
Anything sounds good, you pick.
How about some Mexican?
No, I had that for lunch yesterday.
How about we get some Italian food?
Ew.
Okay, now you're not saying anything. You're just giving me a
want
look.
something delicious.
What does that even mean?
I want to sit outside.
Applebee's?
Applebee's
No,
is
Applebee's.
gross. I'm not
Applebee's is
eating
good.
Applebee's.
I don't know why you're always
Applebee's fries
on
are
Applebee's.
disgusting.
Applebee's is one of
They're
my favorite darn
gross.
places to go ever.
I'm not eating Applebee's.
I wanna go to Truman. Let's go to Truman. Tonight, go to Truman. I wanna go to Truman. Tonight, take me to Truman. We agree on Truman. I love Truman. Tonight, I love Truman. Tonight. Truman, 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 Truman,
Truman's and Soulard, a place we can all agree upon.
Roof? You know what that sound is. That's Rufus the Roofing Dog from Lifetime Roofing and Renovation. They're former insurance adjusters. They will fly a drone over your house to check to see if you've had any hail damage. Heck, they'll get up there and tell you themselves. They have an office in Webster Groves, and they're looking to help you out. Lifetime Roofing and Renovation, 314-800-0426. Give them a call. Find them online at lifetimestl.com.
Over 300,000 veterans have received the care and benefits they've earned because Paralyzed Veterans of America was there. If you need help with a claim or just navigating the system, contact us at pva.org.
Now, the universe has been going on for an incredible long time. And so, really, a satisfactory theory of the universe has to be one that's worth betting on. If you make a theory of the universe which isn't worth betting on, why bother? Just commit suicide. But if you want to go on playing the game, you've got to have an optimal theory.
What's here? But first, they have to find them. What's here? But first, they have to find them. What's here? But first, they have to find them.
Hoosier Sophisticate on WGNU with your hosts, Greg Kohler and Stephen Elgin.
What's here?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, non-binaries, sentient artificial intelligence, to Hoosier Sophisticate Radio here on WGNU 920 AM, Facebook Live, Hoosier Sophisticate. Join the group, Sophisticated Hoosiers. And if you want an even better feed than that, you'll go over to YouTube and you will like and subscribe Mycelial Media, where we are streaming live right now, and we always have a little bonus content there as well.
Hey,
Steve,
who makes this possible?
well,
Can we
I'll
talk
tell you
about
what.
that?
You got bugs, Steve?
I don't anymore because I had my yard sprayed for mosquitoes, and they're just now starting to come back 2.5 months later.
Does Cookie still get to use the Cookie special?
Certainly. My mother answers the phones there. That's how I do all my business deals. My mom works at the places. Shout out to Betty.
314-845-6101. 845-6101.
You do that. You go there. You call them. You say, I need a Cookie
I
special.
need a Cookie
I need
special.
something sprayed. I need my whole house sprayed. My mom understands it. They don't exterminate roses. I used to call them and say that all the time. But yeah, Rose Extermination. Check them out.
They're awesome.
Yeah, they are.
You really don't have any skeeters.
I
I
had
hang
a
out at your
million.
place frequently.
Yeah, too much.
No
Some would
skeeters.
say. Some
I
would say
would
too
say.
much.
I would
Ivan
say.
would say too much.
Ivan would say, sometimes it's all right, sometimes not. Hey, before we get into streaming picks, and the rabbit hole was super fun, I wanted to talk about one more. Can we, Mark, I'm going to throw you on the spot here. Can we hear that that weed news thing one more time?
Okay.
Hey, Hoosiers, are you ready for some cannabis news? Are we talking about weed? Whoa.
I love the abrupt ending. Dr. Sue Sisley.
Was that an
who
accident?
Is someone that we all know here on this show. Dr. Sue Sisley is
I
doing
love
some
her.
incredible research.
God, she's got
She was a
mane.
part of the Project 422 conference, Missouri Medical Cannabis Conference. That was back in October in St. Charles. She, alongside with a
sweetest.
bunch of other doctors in their respective fields, learnt us about some cannabis.
God, she is an angel.
She's awesome. She is absolutely awesome. She is in the middle of a little bit of a lawsuit. So let's give her a little background on
Somebody
Sue.
sued her because her hair is so awesome.
You would think. One would think. One would think.
No, I don't think anyone would think that besides me. though.
Here's what her hair is awesome.
It
She's got a
is, it's
mane.
so good.
She has a mane.
I know.
for
I'm jelly.
days.
I'm jelly.
She is doing an extremely important research linking cannabis to it's helping soldiers with PTSD, relieving their symptoms from PTSD. She's doing a double-blind study. She is a
She's
licensed federal researcher for cannabis.
Yeah, she's listening to her patients too, which is weird.
And I wanted to get into this a little bit because our gal, I'm kissing you from 1,000 miles away.
Settle down. Settle down.
She's suing the DEA.
Oh, my lady.
My lady, right?
In line.
Playing the game.
She's my lady, and I am her man.
Okay.
Whenever you reach for me.
At first, I thought you were doing Sticks, but then was that like Michael Bolton or something? I don't know. Dr. Sue Sisley holds the rare distinction. I got you. Whew. Holds the rare distinction of being licensed by the DEA to study marijuana. So why is she suing the DEA over its marijuana research policies? In June, Sisley's Scottsdale Research Institute filed suit in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, asking the Attorney General and the DEA be ordered to process its application to grow marijuana for clinical research. In the filing, Sisley claims that the DEA has created a monopoly around federally licensed marijuana research. By requiring that researchers only use marijuana from the University of Mississippi for their studies, she says federally licensed marijuana researchers are limited to low-grade cannabis without proper variety. Sisley, who's received funding for her research from Colorado and recently completed a federal study about marijuana's effects on military veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder under the FDA, has complained about the quality of Ole Miss cannabis in the past. Now she's concerned that her study's results may have been compromised by poor cannabis quality, explaining that marijuana is far less potent than strains available in dispensaries or even on the black market. The limited strains from Mississippi are also mixed together, which affects the quality of cannabis and correlations between strain and effect, she says.
I'm breathing into the microphone right now because this is all so upsetting. We
have talked about this time and again. It looks like lawn clippings.
It looks like clippings. You can say
I'm
it.
not even giving it.
Craig can't talk out loud.
Oh, Mr. Butter.
I'll make fun of stupid Craig.
I got through 8 paragraphs before you jump on me for kippings.
Yeah. You got every third word was messed up.
Most scientists end
You were
up
rubbing my leg. Go ahead,
true.
Craig.
Most scientists end up with this mismatch of different strains, including stems, sticks, leaves, etc. All of it seems to get thrown into a grinder in an overzealous effort to standardize the drug batches for clinical trials, she says in a statement about her suit. I'm arguing that by doing that, they're overprocessing the plant and decimating the natural efficacy contained in the flowering tops. Further, in controlled trials, we issue patients the study drug by weight.
I'll get some weight.
Mississippi's been the only legal supplier of cannabis for federally approved research since the 60s. In 2016, the DEA announced that it would increase the number of permitted cannabis growers, but no additional permits have been issued since then, despite more than 30 applications. Sisley says she's done waiting. Maintaining only one federally legal drug supply for any clinical trials in the U.S. has been a huge impediment to research because it's not allowing scientists access to necessary options, she explains. We can't just study from one supplier who seems to be limited from purchasing new genetics. And when there's a monopoly for this many decades, it tends to breed apathy. There's no real drive to respond to the public, to be responsive to the demands of scientists, no real need to innovate in the direction of what patients want.
Told Seth what's up right there. On a little side note, just said, hey, Seth, I can read. Craig, answer me this question, would you?
Yes.
If they don't get it from the same place they've been getting it, where are they going to get high quality cannabis?
Is it even available?
We
all get it from Mississippi, don't we?
Thank you. So that's there you go. The first blockade. And B blockade. We mentioned something about cannaflavins earlier. Okay. We don't know enough.
Conflavins.
We don't know enough about the parts of the plant. Can you name, I don't know, more than 2 parts of the cannabis plant that might have different effects by just using different parts of the plant?
Well, if we're talking about Ole Miss, leaves and sticks and seeds.
See? So they don't get it on here.
Don't.
All these hempos don't get it. Dan Slinger was right. I got a buddy named Dan Slinger, and I might get him on the show. Daniel Slinger.
I wish
he's
you
a
would.
doctor. He might come in next week.
Okay.
I'm gonna have some things with Daniel Slinger.
I just want to give props to our gal Sue Sisley. She's a giant.
Please do.
She's been right there at the forefront of all of this research. We've heard her speak a few times. Her heart's in the right place. She's an absolutely brilliant woman. If you're not familiar, go check out the Scottsdale Research Institute. She's doing very important work. Double-blind studies for cannabis federally there are not a bunch.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
And
You're
it's
absolutely
especially frustrating that when she gets the go-ahead to do it, she's still using this garbage.
Yeah, no doubt.
When we could be doing real studies about what this terpene profile does off of this plant. I mean, just talking to our buddy Josh Loftus, Homegrow Solutions, and he was explaining about the different phenotypes in a plant. You can cross 2 strains and not necessarily end up with the same thing if somebody else crosses the same 2 strains. They have 8 different phenotypes that they can take on that make it a completely different plant, different profiles, different highs, different anxiety,
different medicine,
different friggin' medicine.
Thank you. All right, there we go. He's heating up. A big shout out to everyone who's been doing the grind for so long. I mean, guys like Josh, people like Sue Sisley, because we're all benefiting from it now. So I always want to give props to all those people. And I want to give props to our guy, Brian Kessler, and you for a minute before we go on to our streaming picks. Just for a second, if you could mention the tourney just real quick.
I would love to do that. Okay. Really good. I got 2 events actually.
Okay.
But yeah, Saturday, guys, it is the Southside Party of the year. It is the Hoosier Party of the, one of the Hoosier parties of the year. We won't get too carried away. But it is perhaps my favorite day of the year. It's the most fulfilling day of my year. And I think it can be for you too. Come down to the Spanish Society, 7107 Michigan Avenue. The Vibe Tribe STL is putting on the Ray Memorial Washer Tournament. Over the past 5 years, even if we want to go back and include my dad's 6 years ago, we have raised as a group better than $50,000.
A bunch of ragtag
and given it, and yes, it's a bunch of South City real people giving whatever dollar they can to. They're committing to a couple of things. They're committing to a beautiful group of people to have fun for the day, have drinks, lift our spirits, hug, catch up what's been going on, and they're committing to changing the lives of sometimes strangers that they don't even know, or maybe their neighbors. I mean, that's basically how it works, right? We ask for a couple people that could use some help in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
We start at home, we work out. The Vibe Tribe STL has done that so well. Shout out to Brian Kessler. I can't believe the man he's become. I truly can't believe it. I wouldn't have peed in that guy's ear if his brain was on fire when I was a kid.
He only had up to go.
You're right. He finally found rock bottom, and now he's soaring in the clouds. Brian, I love you, buddy. Brian Kessler. Brian McKenna is also, famous St. Louis radio personality. Brian McKenna. He was one of the recipients a few years ago, and now he's on the board. He's got a beautiful outtake on his journey with cancer. He actually thanks God for it and what it's done for him as far as strength and outlook. It's an unbelievable. Follow Brian McKenna. He's amazing. Come out there. It's $80 a team. That covers your drinks and food all day long. If you don't want to play washers. It's only $30 a person. Drinks and food all day. There's silent auctions, 50-50s, chuck-a-luck.
We'll be having a good time.
I'll be running the Chug-a-Luck wheel all day. It's a blast. Seriously, come out. If you have any wares, if you have anything that you can donate to the silent auction, please let me know. Even if it's something as simple as a bottle of booze, or if you can buy $10 or $20 worth of scratch offs, we'll make a basket out of it.
Yeah.
Whatever you can donate, those things actually work really well in raffles, man. People are always throwing tickets in the booze bucket.
Love a big old thing.
It's one of my favorite things to win.
You talked about it on your
no doubt.
Carolyn Craig, what were you this morning? Karaoke Craig.
What was I this morning?
It was a K. You're onto the Ks. Whatever. Join our Facebook page. Join Vibe Tribe. We're trying to do good things. What's the other good thing?
There's another event. It's at the Cola Lounge down on Cherokee Street.
That place sounds awesome.
They are doing it Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to encourage you to come hang out with us on Saturday, but Sunday they're actually looking to fill the class even more. They have a lot of people that are signed up for Saturday. It's a puff, pass, and paint. St. Louis Cannabis Club is putting on a private event where essentially people can go. Think about a wine painting event. Very similar to that. If you are a medical card holder, and you want to, go learn how to paint a little bit and have a good time, there's a really cool space. Go down on Cherokee Street, check out the Cola Lounge. It's really neat.
That makes me so excited.
There's
to
a
see
lot of
things
cool
like
stuff
that
that's happening
up
here, and a lot of cool stuff that's happening here in St. Louis.
We like movies, so do we. We like internet, so do you. It's the streaming picks of the week. And Netflix. It's the streaming picks of the week.
Hulu too.
It's the streaming picks of the week. We like the internet too.
You guys pick, because I want to go last, and we can talk about it for a little.
Fair enough, because I have been watching a bunch, but last night I sat down with one I haven't watched in a while, and I forgot how good it was. Shout out to Sophisticate Hoosier Bradley Darby. I believe we were talking about. I think it's his favorite movie. Gross Point Blank on HBO. John Cusack film.
Yeah.
If you remember it.
Yeah.
Really good cast. Dan Aykroyd's in it. You know,
What's it about?
Minnie Driver. Gross Point Blank is about a guy who is a professional killer. And he is he's kind of in the middle of like almost a midlife crisis type of thing. And around the time he's on, it actually opens with him on a hit, on a job. And his sister, you know, Joan Cusack plays like his secretary, and she's always kind of feeding him the next job or, you know, whatever. She's his ears, right? And she starts reading to him that it's his 10-year high school reunion. So, and he's like, well, I'll throw that away. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So long story short, he ends up kind of on a contract that's close to where his, his high school reunion's going to be.
It was like a comedy?
And it's absolutely a dark comedy. Yeah. It's kind of a comedy thriller.
Okay.
More comedy than thriller for sure. And it's that beautiful, typical John Cusack movie that's
He's
just
so lovable,
quippy, just
He's
great, smart aleck humor. I'm a big fan.
Chandler. You're trying to be like Chandler.
Chandler-ish, but even more charming than Chandler. You know,
How
John
can you get
Cusack's-
more
he's-
charming than
John Cusack's just such a cute
He
face.
is. He's
you know?
great.
He's such a cute
He
face.
is great.
You watch anything online? You watch Netflix? You watch anything at all?
Yeah, I've been actually doing what is that? Breaking Bad. I'm watching it a second time.
Never heard of it.
Second time. No,
What is
second
it?
time.
Oh, I need to go back and do it.
I couldn't do it. It gave me too much anxiety.
I'm like doing it now. Second time for all the ones I've been watching.
Is it even better the second time through?
It is because there's things I miss.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like
It was a
totally
show that
forgot
I
about
felt
that.
was very slow in the
Yeah.
first and second season, and then I
I
felt
agree.
by the third season it had hit
Picked
a
up.
stride that no other show
It gives
really
me
did.
anxiety.
Did you watch it all the way through?
No,
Oh, buddy,
I won't ever.
you need to do that. You need
Okay,
to
I
revisit
will.
that.
Did you ever watch Better Call Saul too?
No, I have not.
Watched a little
That's
bit of
just
that.
as good.
I got into it a little bit, but yeah, it's all the same characters.
I
It's a prequel.
started Lilyhammer last night.
Oh, I heard that's pretty good.
It's not bad.
I heard that's pretty good.
All right, Scotty,
What do you got, Scotty? Coops?
Okay, well, recently I watched a documentary called Jack of All Trades, and it's about the investigation look of the 1990s baseball card.
I will back that up. Watch that
Did you watch it?
immediately. What
Tell me about it.
What
Yeah.
a flick,
Watched it,
dude.
huh?
No, I never saw it. Of course I watched it. Yes, I will.
Tell me about it, Scotty.
Well,
What's the deal?
What was it? It was like this guy. It was a up and coming child star or something like that, and his family was huge in the business. And then all of a sudden, I think his dad just up and left, and he knew like inside information about the cards or baseball
Listen,
cards. in the
baseball
90s.
cards?
Yeah.
Okay.
The documentary starts out as the filmmaker is going to make a movie about
Selling
this
his cards.
kid who he's 37, 38.
I love that that's still kids to us.
Oh,
baby.
but no, I know. Well, he
I
starts
got
out as
you.
a
It's
kid.
documenting his, yeah.
Yes. So his dad he had a card shop, and the documentary was about to be supposed to be about baseball cards. It ends up being about this kid's life because his dad leaves him. It's this whole thing.
Oh yeah.
They end up tracking everything down, and it becomes a film within a film. But the film it was supposed to be about, it's still awesome.
Give me
still,
the name of it one more time.
Jack of all trades.
It still talks about
Netflix?
Yes.
If you had to say the most important card of your generation, of our generation ever, what do you think it was?
Oof. Of our generation?
Yeah, what baseball card was everyone like, I need to get that baseball card?
Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card.
Thank you.
Yes.
And there's a huge section about the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card.
How
It
cool is that, by
fa-
the way?
Fascinating.
That we just know that, right?
I wasn't sure if they were ever going to get to it. And I'm like, oh, there's a whole section dedicated to it. If you have nostalgia for baseball, that'll.
I got a little bit of nostalgia for baseball.
Okay.
I got a minute for you.
Okay.
Makes you just want to burn your cards too after.
All right,
seeing
buddy.
it, too.
I only got a few
you got
minutes.
a couple of minutes.
I'm going
Lay
to
it
drop
on
the
us.
bomb on you. The Great Hack. Everyone, as soon as you get done watching this, go watch The Great Hack on Netflix. Get a free trial of Netflix. It's that important. What it explains is how companies are figuring out how to use our data, collect our data, and manipulate us into doing exactly what they want us to do. That's my favorite one ever. And that's exactly what's happening to us. And that's how I feel inside. Thank you. But they talk about Cambridge Analytica. I'm not sure if you guys remember they were in the news. Crazy. And I don't want to make it political, but because I feel like as soon as I say Trump, everyone's like, well, you pick a side. It's nothing like that. They just show how Trump used this Cambridge Analytica to the best of his abilities. He hired the best team. Ted Cruz did the same thing. This team at Cambridge Analytica, and they had people from Google, they had people from Facebook. They had, and we're struggling to get advertising things passed when we're trying to give $35 for 5 days. They're spending millions,
$1 million a day,
$1 million a day and more on different targeted Facebook ads with the Facebook person there saying, yeah, this is how you do it. This is how you beat our algorithm. This is how it works. And then Facebook going through all of the Congress things saying, we had no idea Cambridge Analytica was doing that. I don't know. The plate of flies guy. That's what he was doing. He was like, I don't know what Cambridge Analytica is. More, that's what was happening. So it's a wild documentary on how, and they dropped the bomb at the last, because as you're watching it, you say, how much can I be manipulated? That's the only question you can ask yourself. How much can they change my information of my feed that we're feeding into right now on Facebook? How much of that can I nitpick out and take for myself? How much of the rest is a simple human experiment being run on me and all my friends, and you can't opt out? There are 5,000 data points on every voter in America, and they got us right where they want us. So they know who are the people who they can
sway.
Yes, and all those tests that we take, like, oh, what's your personality?
IFNJ.
Yes.
Hey, put your face in the face app.
Those
fella.
are created by scientists and professors that have figured out, if I was going to data collect on people and figure out how to sway, this is what I need to know from a vast part of the population. And they said they only need 100,000 people to really start swaying. So they go to all these other countries and test it. They're testing it in Trinidad and Tobago. They start this campaign in Trinidad and Tobago and say, hey, the one group that we want to lose, we're going to start a campaign with their youth that says, don't vote. You got to be cool to don't vote. So they get rappers and artists and people who are like, no, voting is for dummies, and they do this whole campaign. Well, the other group wins because all their kids, it's like an Indian culture. And they're like, oh no, the Indian kids do what they want. We know from their data that Indian kids will follow what their parents say. We know that it's insane. The Great Hack on Netflix.
Those streaming picks were brought to you by Truman's and Soulard. Some of the best food you'll ever find. So good. Those curds, cheese curds. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another fun week in Hoosier Sophisticate. The group's growing, the show's growing. We've got some big things coming down the pipeline. Please come out Saturday. Please come out and hang with us at Spanish Society. You will not regret it. You'll have one of the best days of your life. Come on out there. Registration starts at 10 a.m. Show starts at 11, basically. It's going to be a good time for everybody. Truman's and Soulard, I just mentioned them. They're just a phenomenal sponsor down. I mean, just unbelievable food, great drink specials, perfect wait staff. Everything works out well there. Great little patio. Go check them out. Bell Chiropractic and Pain Management, they make this whole thing happen. Guys, if you're feeling a little banged up, back feels a little out of whack, go hit Blake up. If you need a medical certification, if you're still looking to see a doctor, please hit up bellchirostl.com. They will take care of you. We've got James Carlton Insurance. I wish he was my dad.
I know.
I
love my dad.
He's amazing. He's going to make sure you're covered and better than you've ever been covered before. He's going to cover you up real good, like Lifetime STL. Roof. Guys, they do roofs. They do exteriors. They got a dog that runs the joint. Go check them out. Go Google them. LifetimeSTL.com. And Rose Extermination is going to kill all your bugs. We had a lot of fun, man. We had a lot of fun. Mike Ote, thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for coming and joining. Guys, get on the page. You want to get in the industry? Hit us up. Scotty Cooper, best intern going, buddy. I love you, my man. Mark's on the boards. You helped us out. And Seth, he took a shot on a couple knuckleheads like Steve and I. We sure love you guys and hope you be well.